is the ZenBook UX330UA, and it's a new laptop from ASUS. Now I know that name doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but really there's a lot more to this laptop than meets the eye. Most notably, it has a new processor, the 8th gen Intel Core i5 processor from Intel. So if you're in the market for a new laptop, here's why this budget laptop really should be considered. The standout feature of the ZenBook UX330UA isn't the nice display, great performance, or thin design. It's the price tag. At $750, it's been our favorite budget laptop all year, and now it has the new 8th generation Intel Core i5 processor thrown in for good measure. There are certainly cheaper laptops out there, but none that cover all the essentials the way this one does. The star of the show is really the CPU performance. The version that came with the 7th generation processor was already performing at the top of its class, and now it's even faster. In our test, it's made a huge jump, especially in multi-core performance, where it made a 42% increase in growth with the 8th gen CPU. If you don't believe me that this chip really doesn't belong in a laptop this cheap, consider that the $1,300 MacBook Pro and the $1,500 Surface Book 2 come with that same chip, except it's actually a generation back. And again, this only costs $750. It also comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of solid-state storage. The look of the 2017 UX330UA is unchanged from the previous year's model, keeping the same plain design of a lot of these ZenBooks. It's got a plastic chassis, but it's fairly well built, and it's not as flimsy as it might look. You might not like the bezels around the display, but the screen itself is actually quite good. It's a well-balanced HD display that has really good contrast and natural color reproduction. It's nothing fancy, it's not 4K or touchscreen, but it gets the job done. The most important thing to know about the design is how thin it is. At just half an inch thick, this laptop is actually thinner than laptops that are known for their thinness, like the MacBook Pro and even the 12-inch MacBook. It's also super light at just 2.6 pounds, which again is lighter than the MacBook Pro. For I/O, the UX330UA again has the basics covered. It's got 2 USB-A ports, 1 USB-C port, a headphone jack, a full-size SD card slot, and a micro HDMI port. It's all pretty standard, but it's nice to see ASUS throw in at least 1 USB-C port for the sake of future-proofing. This laptop does come with a couple of compromises though. The first is the trackpad, which isn't horrible, but it can be a little skippy at times. It handles gestures okay, but it really takes some getting used to, and it certainly could use some work. Also, the high-powered 8th generation CPU has actually resulted in a slight reduction in battery life. The previous version had amazing battery life, lasting over 13 hours playing in HD video, while the new version gets 2 hours less than that. It's still better than all of its competition at this price range, it's just no longer running laps around them. So this new model does trade battery life for performance boost, but even considering that, you'll have no problem getting through a full workday on this really thin, powerful laptop. So again, the story with this laptop is really the value. At $750, you're getting a laptop that's thinner than something like a MacBook Pro, but also something that performs better than an entry-level version of the Dell XPS 13. Those are both really great laptops, but this does it for a lot cheaper. So it might not be your first choice. It's really one that should be considered before you spend a bunch of money on a laptop that you don't really need.